Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining me for these morning shows is your co-host, Spaz.
As always, powered by caffeine.
Yes. What caffeine are you slamming? I have a Starbucks double shot espresso here. Do you have something specific?
I usually go with Rockstar in the mornings.
Hey,
if I need to.
If that works for you, Rockstar doesn't work on me at all for some reason. I don't know why. Rockstar does absolutely nothing for me. That's why I stick with Monsters and these things. I've tried so many of these energy drinks, and I don't know why some work and some don't. But folks, it is 6 a.m. here in California, where Spaz and I are, because our guests are in Finland. What's the name of the city? Is Kuopio?
Kuopio.
Kuopio, excuse me. Kuopio, Finland. So it is about 4 o'clock? Is it 4 o'clock in the afternoon for you guys?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so joining us is from Kala Gameworks to talk about the Pegasus Expedition is narrative director Jaakko. No, is that close? No,
it was pretty close. It was nice.
Jaakko Vestinen.
Yes.
Oh God. Okay. Hey, first try. And composer Adam Al Sawad. Did I say that right, or was I close?
Yes,
at least?
you did.
Oh, thank God. Folks, we had some real annoying audio issues leading to the second up till we went live today, and it was all on my end. For some reason, Discord hates me unless we go through 18 servers and I refresh Discord 8 times. And then, because, side note real quick, we started on the US West server, and apparently I sounded really robotic. So we went through pretty much every other server, and then we went back to US West, and apparently I sound fine. I don't freaking understand at all. So, yes, we're a little late. I apologize for that, folks. Couldn't be helped, but it wouldn't be a very good interview if our guests couldn't understand what I was saying. That would be a really crappy interview. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and the management of your Kickstarter campaign, which is going on right now, folks, by the way. No, Shogun. No, I sound fine, like, going through my computer to, like, Twitch and everything. It's not my equipment. It's specifically Discord. So I'll sound fine to you, but to the 3 other folks here on Discord, I will sound like a robot. Don't understand why. It is. Anyway, let's move away from that now. That's just been my frustration for the last 20 minutes. Excuse me. So we are here to talk about the Pegasus Expedition, which is, again, currently on Kickstarter, my friends. I'll be, let me link you all to it in the chat at least. I will also be including a link in the show notes on the YouTube, on the YouTubes and on the blog where you can download the MP3. But the Pegasus Expedition is a Space 4X game, and you might hear that and go, oh God, another one? Because let's be honest, there have been a lot of Space 4X games that have come out in the last 5 years. There have been just a buttload of them. But thankfully, Pegasus Expedition tries to do something a little bit different. It's a story-based Space 4X game. And the last story-based 4X game I really remember is either Imperium Galactica 2 or what was it called? Hegemonia? I can never remember the name of that one.
Hegemonia, yeah.
Hegemonia.
Yeah.
That was the same people as Imperium Galactica, I believe. I think. So that kind of makes sense. But yeah, we haven't had an actual like story-based 4X in at least a couple of decades because more and more people follow the the more traditional 4X formula where you're Master of Orion or whatever, and you make your own story, and there's the narrative is what you make, and that's fine. But I think I have to say right off the bat, I think you guys have wisely chosen to do something a little different in order to stand out. Because, like I said, there have been just so many Space 4X games in the last few years, and so many of them have been forgettable. I hate to say that, but it's true. So let's start from the very beginning. Where did the idea for the Pegasus Expedition come from, and when did you guys start working on it?
Well, the very basic idea of doing a narrative-based 4X game arose from our own experiences, because most of our team are big fans of the genre and play a lot of the games. And should we try doing it ourselves?
Yeah, many of us in our team, as Jaakko said, are people who get really, really hyped up for the thematic setting of a 4X game. You want to set up a thematic scenario or build your empire in this epic world being hyped up. But when you actually play the game, the narrative content stops, after 2 voice lines or a few text boxes, or maybe 1 or 2, special battles with a preset army. And we wanted more than that, pretty basically.
I appreciate that. Folks on the stream, I apologize. For some reason, OBS decided to crash. It has not been my morning. OBS just went poop. And thank you, Shogun, for saying the stream was dead. I wasn't even noticing. Another side note, when someone's talking on the stream, I'm usually staring at the mixer because I'm trying to look at them. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at their voice so I can focus on what they're saying, if that makes any sense. So I didn't even notice OBS crashed. So thank you, Shogun. So many 4Xs, even the greatest ones, they're here's your narrative. It's a tiny bit of tutorial text for your first 3 turns, and that's it. Oh, and you might have some characters. You might have some hero characters, here's a scientist person and here's an admiral, but that's really it. That's all you get. They're just usually a bunch of stats, to pad out the game a little bit. And again, that is fine. That nothing wrong with that, but it is, you guys have a lot of characters as a part of your story because you have multiple factions. As a part of your story, at least according to the Kickstarter page.
Yes.
Was it 3 factions, I think, that you start with?
Well, the setting in which the player will be dropped in has over 30 factions, though there are less different cultures in which they belong to, because most of the races are not a single faction, but more a cluster of
all right, I think
states. But you're right. We have quite a plenty of characters, and there's actually a lot of actual dialogue you will have with them, because we thought the one of the most important ways of telling a story is and to make it relatable is that you actually speak with the people you are commanding and working with, and also fighting with.
Yeah, and very few games do that. Very few games enrich your experience by letting you talk to the people who are on your ship or in your in your council or whatever. And the ones that do, it's hit or miss too. I'm thinking of what.
Yeah,
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. The thing is, even if some games, do have narrative content, the thing is that it's usually really disconnected from the rest of the game. And what we want to do is is we want the narrative side of the game to be connected to and actually affect the mechanical side of the game instead of them being, completely separate and disconnected from each other.
Right, exactly. Like I think of one game that did it well. It wasn't a 4X game, but I don't know if you guys ever played the Star Wolves games. They were more RPG games where you had individual pilots for the ships, and they had stats and everything, but they also had like pretty distinct characters. They were pretty distinct characters that would interact with each other as well, which was always fun. Because that's another thing a lot of story-based games like forget to do is have your characters interact with each other, not just you. Like I think Jagged Alliance did that particularly well. The Outer Worlds, which I was playing recently, does that well. But,
yes, it does.
But most of the time, it's like your character talks to you, and like there might as well be no one else around. They just talk to you.
Yeah, that's very true. And may I say like a short point about this, what you just said? That is very true, and that's actually one reason why most of the dialogue will be like if you look at material or trailers, you can see in different places. The conversations, the dialogue will mainly be happening in different kind of council kind of situations. That when you go to negotiate with another state, you don't necessarily just get only one guy, but you may get like the main officials of their government and so on, like to be able to like give more characters, give the story more characters.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because it's good to have, like, when you meet a good character in a video game, you remember that character. They stick with you. And so few video games have really memorable characters, like Spaz. Who would you say your favorite video game character is? Putting you on the spot.
Wow. Well, I would say let me go and say it would be the squads from Mass Effect. Okay,
no, that's totally fair. Garrus and oh god, what's the other one's name that I love so much? Tali. Yeah, they're up there for me. I'd say my favorite of all time is probably Stephen Heck from Alpha Protocol. If you guys haven't played Alpha Protocol, you should. It's a janky game, but story wise, there's nothing like it. Like absolutely nothing like it. But I've been playing. I've also been playing Assassin's Creed Origins lately, trying to get through that, and the character in that, Bayek, is just fantastic. But so many games have characters that are just like, I'm here to give you this tiny bit of exposition. You will never see me again. But that has to be a challenge because writing for video games has to be harder than writing for a more linear medium like movies or books or television. And that has to be hard writing well for video games because like so many video games try to have a good narrative and a lot of them don't succeed. So what has that been like, not only having a good narrative, but weaving that into a competent, fun game? What kind of challenge has that been like?
Well, it's been very interesting, and I can verify that it is very different from writing other kind of stuff because there's you have really lots of limitations in the way that how you can what can happen and like what you can, for example, make characters say and when they will be able to say it. And also it has to fit in everything else that is in the game. Like even with, if you're writing a novel, you can decide everything. And even if you're writing a script for a movie, you may have more power to decide, like, okay, story will say that this, and this will happen now. But with the game, that there are like so many other people doing so many other things for the same project and everything has to fit together. It's challenging in the way and interesting as well.
like how do you keep track of everything? Do you have a Bible? Do you have a big web on a whiteboard? Like how do you keep track of all the different threads that are going through a game like this?
Threads. By what you mean? Thread in this?
Like
this
the story
context?
threads, the character threads, like how they weave through the story. How do you keep track of that? Like sometimes there's a show, like for a show, they might have a show Bible where you put everything in there, you know.
Okay, now I get it, and this will be quite interesting. We have a thing what we have been calling the conspiracy wall. Okay, there is not an actual conspiracy there, but it's a wall that's full of pieces of paper taped onto that wall. And well, we have to move that conspiracy wall to like to the web, to online, because we had to start working from home, and we did that too. But it's still just as intimidating as it was in its physical form.
Yeah, you know, funny story.
Yeah.
Our studio is linked with my music production studio, and I have a big recording room there. And one morning, Jaakko comes into my working room and he says, "Hey, Adam, can I, you know, put some of these papers on the wall of your recording room, since it's, you know, empty for the acoustics? It'll just be there for a little while, and, you know, we need to visualize some things about the story." And then, you know, 1 month later, it's two whole walls full of, you know, this conspiracy about how Elvis is alive.
Well, at least many people who are unable to understand the true meaning think that it will prove something like that, but it's actually just our the script. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Well, have you I mean, I read through your Kickstarter and I haven't seen any. Are you gonna take pictures of this wall or anything?
We should. It's right now. We haven't thrown away the physical.
Oh, you guys totally should. People would love to see that as a Kickstarter update. Like, here's the wall. Here's
the backer only post, and
people love seeing how the sausage is made, and people would just go gaga for that. I'm going gaga just listening to it. That sounds amazing.
Okay. We should do that. We really should do that.
Oh yeah. Take some pictures, talk about it a little bit, make it a backer only post, and you will definitely you will definitely be influencers. Yeah. Shogun is like, I'd love to see the wall. Hi, Xeon Cat. What do you mean don't do it? Why not? Why not, Xeon Cat? Or Xeon Cat, yes. Why not do it? I think that'd be a great post for people to see the work. I mean, that also shows the work you've put in to making a competent narrative. That sounds like a lot of work. Illuminati
are they thinking that you shouldn't show the magic behind the trick or something?
Well, if you take the picture from far away so that people can't really zoom in and see all the little details.
Yeah,
they can't. They can't read my handwriting anyway, so that's not a problem. It's in Finnish.
I know that. I have the worst handwriting in the world. I know that. But yeah, just take a wide shot. I do love how a lot of TV shows now, they know people are going to freeze and pause and read things like that, so they will make it as detailed as they can on the TV. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to just take a wide shot. This is the basis of what we're making our story on. So how does the story start? It's because I read it on the Kickstarter, but I don't know if people here listening to the show read the Kickstarter yet. So how does the story start, and how does the player get involved in the story?
To try to put it shortly, the Pegasus Expedition is an expedition sent by the mankind from the Earth to the Pegasus Galaxy in a difficult situation they are facing back home. To tell that shortly, the mankind had entered the spacefaring age quite happily and hadn't encountered any other life and had colonized few other places, and everything was going relatively well. And then they encountered the first other life form in the space that turned out to be both very dangerous and very hostile. That they dubbed the Colossals. So very huge life form that is apparently was very intelligent, but wasn't interested in any kind of communication at all, but instead was very aggressively hostile. And without any experience about fighting anything in space, the mankind was in really trouble with that threat. And the following half 100 years, 50 years, they have been slowly pushed back towards the Earth. And during the time when the game is about to start, the Earth is the only place left. So all the colonies have already fallen. And at that point, they have to try to think of something else, because the straight fighting back is not going to work. So what they think of is sending an expedition to a galaxy they think that is far enough from the Colossals in order to form new colonies there. That will at least serve as a refuge for the population of the Earth should it fall, and it looks likely that it will, unless the expedition manages to pull off something unexpected, find something miraculous from the new galaxy that will actually be able to help to defend Earth as well. So that's what the expedition is doing, and what the player is doing. They are leading a part of that expedition with that little task on their shoulders, and also with quite limited time, because if the Earth falls, the player has sort of failed, even though their own troops and forces would be alive, because the Earth is the main focus of everything naturally.
So there is a kind of a ticking clock. Oh my god, I can't talk. There kind of is like a ticking clock going on while you're playing.
Oh, well, in a sense, yes. It's not like it's telling you, okay, you have 52 turns left, because it would be like boring and quite unimaginative and not very realistic either. Because of course they are they do not know exactly what is going to happen back home, but they know that if we wait too long, it's not necessarily going to be anything good. So the pressure from home is going to be quite high, and they will be wanting progress and asking for progress quite frequently. And if the player really just stops and stops from doing anything, eventually that won't to lead anything good.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a pressure coming from back home that is kind of pushing you a little bit, which I like. I think that's also different from, like, usually the only pressure pushing you forward really is you in these games. Like if you think about it, with a lot of these 4X games, why do you need to leave your home planet? You don't, really. I mean, you should, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, the only one making you go out there is you. So I kind of like how there's something of an external pressure being put on the player to move forward. I like that. I like that a lot. So how do you interact with your characters? Is it like you have your admiral who's in charge of the military? Do you have your scientist who's in charge of the science? Like, how do you interact with the characters in the game? Is it through like pre-chosen story bits? Is it through choices the player makes?
Well, the characters, like there are two groups of the characters. The most important characters are like the player's own subordinates that are a bit like you just said, that you have the admiral, the grand admiral who leads all the military, and the science guy who is responsible for all the scientific development. And these four people, the two others are like Minister of Interior and Minister of Foreign Affairs, like the main diplomat. So these people are the ones that you will make big decisions about, like the course of your de facto state. Decisions about that with them. In many cases, when you do something, you will like get a discussion among those people when anything important happens. It's a situation that you will likely discuss with them. And also, like many of those discussions will be optional. So if you feel like, okay, I've been talking about this enough for now, you don't have to talk with them unless you want to. But when important enough things happen, then you will like absolutely have to talk about that with your own government that they are. And then you have the characters that are not of your faction, in which case you will not have that much chances to communicate with them. But when there's something involving them happening, then you can communicate with them as well. So it really depends on the situation, what initiates the communication. And for people who like really want to hear their counselors' opinions on many things, they're often like there will be just a sort of small notification telling that, okay, this counselor would like to talk to you, like in very optional way. And if you would like to hear what they have to say about this thing, then you can like accept it and see what they want to say. And also the dialogue, because there will be quite a bit of dialogue in the game, both optional and non-optional. The player will be making like dialogue choices as well, not only like gameplay decisions. It's not only like, do we want to take part in this plot that our neighbor is offering us or not, kind of decisions. You will be making those, but you will also like, because the discussion, we've tried to make the discussion as realistic and real feeling as possible, which means there will be people talking to each other, and you are one of those people as well. So the dialogue, you will be acting as a person in that dialogue. So you have also dialogue choices that affect the dialogue.
Oh,
if you get what I mean.
Will there be like less incident? I don't know if this is the right way to describe it. Less incidental dialogue, like, you know, gossip and like, oh, this character wants to have a birthday party with you there and stuff like that. Is there going to be like less immediate, like so much of the dialogue in 4X games, like, sir, do you want to build this laser cannon? Do you want to have a peace treaty with these guys? But is there going to be a little more broader like flavor text with the characters as well? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, yes, because we have that big situation involving what's going on back home, and also like big developments going on in the galaxy. That will be like the player will need them explained to them, and also like make decisions about how to react to them. So it's the idea is like many of the larger things going on that you just can't just see by looking the map and the numbers and icons that your subordinates will explain to you. Like the guy responsible for your diplomacy can tell you that, okay, we have now seen signs that this group of small states in this corner are trying to form some kind of larger federation. And should we try to stop this process, or do you think that that is like good to us? And so on, like, so they are like a tool to also let the player for the player to be able to understand better what's actually going on in this galaxy.
Oh, I like the sound of that. Yeah, because there's only so much you can put on a map, and before it starts getting overwhelming. And so having characters actually give you context to things that's going on, that sounds like a great idea. Honestly, it sounds like a really fantastic idea. Because, again, so many 4X games are like, here's your map, here are your ships, just have fun. And again, that's fine, but like having characters be like, hey, there's something going on over here. That's pretty cool, I have to admit. I like that, because not a lot of strategy games are infused with character, you know? And I mean, you have your Crusader Kings, and you have maybe your Total War Warhammers, and a few others that are in the works right now. But that's really it. So it's really nice to hear a strategy game that maybe not the characters are the focus, but have a lot more involved than than other strategy games. So that sounds really great, I must admit. So do you make a custom character when you start a game, or are you a preset character? Is your avatar named at all in the game, or are you just kind of some like Morpheus god thing?
Well, you are the director of the fleet, and that's how they will be calling you. So in a sense, you don't name the how director. Everyone refers to you as with that title, and so in a sense, you don't have an avatar. It's the choices you keep making as the director that sort of dictates that who your director actually is.
Oh, okay. And do characters like... I apologize if this is explained in the Kickstarter. I read it twice, but my brain is just right now. Do other characters have do they grow at all? Are there any kind of... I'm not going to say role-playing elements. I'm not going to say role-playing elements because that's good. I mean, but are there things like that? Do characters grow, and do they remember the choices you said are made?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes, that's one of the things that makes a story interesting. Like if there are characters you care about, and then many things happen to those characters, they tend to change a bit what kind of people they are, and at least they will remember those things. So yes, we have put lots of effort into that to try to make the characters real and memorable, and also live through the events with you, and they will remember the things that have happened, and also they will remember choices you have made with those things, especially if they disagreed with your choices with those in those decisions. But yeah, in a sense, if you're asking whether the main characters will have character development and growth, I can answer that yes, they will.
Oh, good. That's so important. It's so important in a good story is that you have character arcs for characters you care about. A lot of my friends and I are obsessed with Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And we always bring up some of the best arcs in the show, like Nog. I don't know. Have you guys watched Deep Space Nine?
No, I've
Not
only
really.
seen the oldest original seasons
Oh, okay.
of Star Trek.
That's the one I could not get my wife to watch. I have brought it up many times, and she's like, "No, it looks too cheesy, and I'm sure it's all sexist." I'm like, "Well, for the 60s, it was really progressive, but
Yes.
now maybe." But no, Deep Space Nine has some, especially for minor characters. There are some minor characters on that show that have amazing character growth, and that's one of the reasons that show sticks with people like me, is because you love watching them grow and change. So that sounds very exciting that this game also has characters that grow and change. Now, can the trajectory of the game change based on how you interact with your characters, like what decisions you make? Or is it more based on the planet you colonize and things like that?
Well, the very, very sort of highest overarching level of the story can't change terribly much, because it's ultimately about saving the Earth in some way. So in that you either succeed or you don't succeed. But the level right below that, with the many different individual things happening, there's a lot of different ways the things can go. So there's a lot of optional story content in the game, because we have been asked about that when the game has this much story, how much does it limit the freedom of choice, like the sandbox elements of a strategy game. So there are many factions, for example, that, okay, there's this faction that's having a civil war here, and there are two sides in that civil war, and you can either just go and destroy them like you would in any other faction in a 4X game, or you can pick up the story content that is in there, that is like you actually pick one of the sides of the civil war and try to make them win the civil war, and try to make that winning side your puppet state of sorts, that you will be pulling the strings in the whole thing. So there's lots of these kind of things that you can either pick up or leave if you don't want to experience more story content but just want more freedom in your sandbox 4X game. And those have a lot of different, the outcomes of those will depend on what you have chosen to do or not to do.
Oh, nice. So one of the questions I was gonna ask is, with something as narrative heavy as this sounds like it's going to be, how much replayability is there? Because people love replayability with their 4Xs, and it sounds like with optional story content like that, and also how that can change based on the decisions and choices you make, it sounds like there is a pretty good amount of replayability from one session to the next. I mean,
of course, yes, go on.
No, go ahead.
So of course it's not the same that with some huge strategy games in which you always create a new faction from scratch and so on, because we have a set setting and still one broad story, but there's many different many things that can go on differently between the start and the end, and like different outcomes depending on what you have done. And also you can affect a bit that how story heavy it will be. Like if you want, okay, I experienced the story content the first time, now I want a bit more free experience, you can like leave those hooks there and instead
that's
and
nice.
not do the optional content, but instead do it in more sandbox way.
Oh, that's nice. Like other game, like I'm trying to think of like the character-driven games that I can think of that I really enjoyed that also were fairly narrative heavy, but offered some freedom. I'm thinking of Star Wars Rebellion. I don't know if you guys played that one. It was called, I think it was called Supremacy Overseas. It's a Star Wars strategy game. It's not really a 4X because you're not really exploring. But you're sending characters all over the place to do missions and stuff. And even though the end goal is kind of the same, how you deal with the characters can really change the game through each playthrough. So when you were telling me about like how you interact with the story content and stuff, that's what it was reminding me of in a good way. Because I don't know if you guys have played that game, but it's amazing. Even to this day, it's fantastic.
No, I don't think we have, but maybe we should. And also, one interesting design question was that because we are doing a game that has a lot of story content, and in games that are not strategy games, you can like make the stuff easily optional in the way that if it is more RPG kind of game where the player walks where he wants to go, he can just go there and then pick up a quest when he wants to, or he just doesn't go there if he doesn't want to pick it up now. I think we just lost Adam from the Discord. What, Adam? Did I say something you didn't?
Oh no! What the? Okay.
What happened?
I don't know. Oh, he's typing something. Not the best technical show this morning, y'all, and nothing. I don't know why Discord was such a thing, and I think that might be the first time OBS has crashed during a stream. I've had it crash once or twice, like while I was setting it up to record something, but very rarely does OBS crash, and it totally did like 5 minutes in today. Oh boy.
Can you like invite him?
He's
back?
still he's still in the thing. He's still in the call. He's still in our little PM here. Yeah, he's still in our little private message little group here.
Because I don't see him. Okay, he wrote to me that like the whole Discord threw him.
Oh jeez.
Oh my.
I'll see if I can invite him again. No, he's still in the group. He should be able to rejoin. If he goes back to direct messages, he should be able to rejoin. Should be.
Okay, I'll write that to him.
Yeah, the joys of doing it live, my friends. The joys. I mean, we love doing it live, but sometimes you just run into some technical problems, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. I mean, we've tried. We used to use Skype for these things, and we had a lot of problems there too because Skype is just a nightmare. And then we tried. What was it called? Mumble.
Yep,
it was like
use Mumble.
Yeah, Mumble, and that was not the most user friendly experience. So like, no one can figure out how to connect to us. So that's why we use Discord. That's why we use Discord, and we're kind of enslaved to it at this point, and so because it's really the best option. It's
when it works, it's good.
Yeah, it's the most user friendly, and it. I'm not gonna say it's the most stable, but it's fairly stable.
Of the options we have used, it is the most stable.
Yeah, out of the options. Yeah, and there might be a better option out there, but will it be as user friendly as this? Will it be as accessible as this? That's what a pain in the butt. So how far along is the game at this point?
How far along you mean like
are you in alpha?
It will be ready?
Yeah, like are you in alpha? Are you in beta? Like how far along in the development process would you say you guys are at this point?
Well, we have been developing it for a year and a half now with our team, and we are planning to release it during the first half of 21, so like next year. So in that sense, we are starting to be quite late in the development.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Are we trying to get him back or?
He's right there.
Hey, okay.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, Adam, can you hear us?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
What happened? Did Discord just boot you? What happened?
Yeah, it wouldn't let me connect, and I tried several different internet connections I have at my house, and nothing worked. And everything else was working fine, but Discord, for some reason, didn't let me connect.
What the? Okay, yeah. See, in a way, that's comforting to know that I'm not the only one with Discord problems. I apologize for that. I'm sorry it booted you, but in a way, it's good to know it's not just me. So we're now Discord problem brothers.
I'm checking, and according to Down Detector, there are possible problems at Discord. So it's not just us.
Oh, okay, that's good. And yesterday Discord took a total dump too. I think because of some Google servers or something. It just like completely stopped working for like half an hour. So I mean, more and more people are using it because of the pandemic. It's not just for gamer servers anymore. Like when the pandemic first started, my wife's family, we were all doing this big group text, and it was the worst. So I'm like, guys, let's just get on a Discord and use that. And so we've been using that for the last several months, and it's great. So yeah, Discord is great, but it's also, they might be a victim of their own success. I don't know. So yeah, Adam, we have not talked much about the music, and music is such an important part, at least for me, of any gaming experience. How much music would you say there is for the game, at least right now?
I'd say it's over an hour at the moment.
Ooh.
We haven't quite decided in terms of some tracks whether we want them or not, but there'll be quite a bit of music, and in terms of the structure of the soundtrack, I think the biggest difference when comparing to other 4X soundtracks is that instead of just having 2 hours of generic music, we're really tying that into the narrative aspect of the game and having a lot of narrative tracks that are tied to specific situations. So like in an RPG, for example, you go into a specific narrative situation and a specific track starts to play that is tied to that situation, and you remember it through that situation. We wanted to achieve something like that with our soundtrack.
That's awesome, because a good soundtrack can really, really help the game. And I'm a soundtrack nut. I'm an absolute gaming soundtrack addict. And like listening to you talk about it, yeah, you just got me to pledge. Good job.
Well, did you listen to Adam's pieces? There are some of them.
I did. At least I did. I was glad you guys included that. That was a really good idea. I was really glad you guys included that on the Kickstarter page, because I do want to talk about Kickstarter too, because I really liked your Kickstarter page. There's a lot of good detail there. You've got you have the bits of music and stuff, some interactive elements like that. So many Kickstarters just throw up a bunch of text and just expect to be funded. I've seen so many terrible Kickstarters. How much work did you guys put into the Kickstarter before it went live?
Well, we had to admit that we put quite a lot of it, because, well, we wanted to tell as much as possible, because, well, we thought that the more people know, the more they realize why this is a good thing. What's the point of this thing? So we put a lot of effort to the page. I'll admit that.
Yeah, I think thing that was in our favor was, though, that that beginning context for our Kickstarter wasn't that we have this game idea and if you guys back this, then we'll make it. Like, that's not the situation we're in. Basically, we're as we said on our page, we're kickstarting the game in order for us to be able to refine it more. Take more time to test for more bugs, test for balance, have a cleaner release, which gives puts us in the situation where we also have more to show.
And that's important.
Yeah,
so many Kickstarters are starting from nothing or very little. They have hardly anything to show. I'll be honest, I don't know if you guys remember the Elite Dangerous Kickstarter. It was one of the worst I had seen up to that point. They had nothing.
Yeah, I was considering backing it, but I didn't, even though I had actually played original on the Commodore 64, my father's.
You made the right call. It's ultimately been a disappointing experience, but no, I really liked how it's always good when you already have a foundation that you've already built from, that you're like, hey, we already have this thing going, we just want to make it better. I think that's a much stronger place to start a Kickstarter campaign from than we have an idea and we're just getting started on it. Give us money. And I think you guys have done a much better job, because there's a lot of good graphics here. You have a lot of explainers. You have a tier with the soundtrack, which is what I care about. You wouldn't believe how many Kickstarter campaigns I've almost backed, and then there's been no mention of a soundtrack anywhere. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, a lot of indie companies are in the situation where they want more time and they don't want a messy release, but they might be forced to release the game in a messy state. And even though we're totally not planning for that, that's something we want to secure with this Kickstarter, that we have the funds, as we said, to finish it and bring it to its full potential.
Yeah, and put more stuff in.
Yeah.
Basically. as well.
Right.
But it's not like the Kickstarter campaign is not dictating whether we are creating this game or not, because we've been creating it a long time already.
And again, that shows. I think that will lead to a stronger campaign because you're already dedicated. You already know what you're doing. You already have a lot of work involved in the game itself. And I think when people see that, they're a lot more likely to back it than like, oh, I have this. I swear to God, we had a show, and the guy, I don't even remember the name of the game now, but the guy was
probably better if it goes unnamed.
Yeah,
at this point,
the guy he was running a Kickstarter, and he had like the barest shell of it was so ambitious, and yet the build that he provided to us was basically you're flying a thing that looks like a space shuttle in one direction. But he wanted like whole galaxies and narratives and characters, and that was probably one of the hardest interviews I've ever done because we're like, there's nothing here, buddy. There's absolutely nothing here. It's probably my least favorite show. But so yeah, and his Kickstarter went nowhere. It went absolutely. I think he had 3 backers who were probably his friends or family, and that was it. And it's tough, especially with there's a lot of people have fatigue around Kickstarter as well, or crowdfunding in general, because a lot of projects have just not come to fruition. So
yeah,
good.
Yeah, we had a long discussion about this, way back when, do we want to go to Kickstarter early? Do we want to have a campaign that, kickstarts the whole game, or do we want to spend our time, finding other means of funding to be actually able to make the game regardless of Kickstarter, and then use Kickstarter, as a means of, maybe being able to do more. And I really think that was the right decision because I've had the same fatigue with Kickstarter, seeing all of these different pages that really don't show enough, or are in the beginning state of development, so you really don't know how they end up. I've kickstarted a lot of games that have never released, or have released in a very, very poor state.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but there have been some really big Kickstarters that I've just been so disappointed with, and ultimately, either because they petered out, or because they released something that was terrible. Like, I'm going to name it.
They pushed it to 1.0, but it was probably at a half-finished state. That has happened more than once.
Kinetic Void.
Yep.
Into the stars. Sorry, y'all. We're a little bitter about some of these. A little bit bitter.
I understand. I was actually one of the original backers of Starforge, so I've seen it all.
Of what?
Starforge.
What's Starforge? I don't even remember that one. What was that?
Isn't that the biggest single failed game Kickstarter campaign?
Yeah, it was like this massive sci-fi survival base building, everything basically was what they promised, and I kickstarted it, and it had a lot of allegations about being abandoned or being an outright scam, and it was removed from Steam eventually. But I've really seen it all with their roller coaster of a development cycle.
But that got a lot of funding, a lot of funding.
Oh,
I don't remember the numbers.
They have I'm looking at their. There's a Wikipedia page for it apparently, and apparently it was pulled from Steam in 2017, and then the developers were like, "No, we're not working on it anymore." And you're like, wait, what?
Money well spent.
Yeah, there have been failures like the Mandate. I'm still salty about that one.
Mandate. Oh, that one hurt. That's right.
Yeah, that one really hurt. I was a backer on that one.
As was I. That one looked great. And they disappeared. They just disappeared, didn't they? They just like totally disappeared.
They just ghosted everybody, and nothing came of it.
Yeah. So not that we're saying you guys.
That said, the majority of campaigns that I have backed have come to fruition.
Yeah,
it's maybe less than 5% of the ones I have backed, and I've backed a lot of them over the years that have not come to fruition or have gone to 1.0 while being partially finished.
Yeah,
I understand the fatigue, though. It can still be disheartening to see how many campaigns have failed over the course of that many years.
Yeah, but again, I think, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that because we've too seen a lot of that, so we ended up going with the approach that we have a clear plan for the development. Like, never mind the Kickstarter. No matter what happens with that, we have have planned to think till the launch and so on. So like it's a nice plus if we get more funding for the development from there, but like it's going to happen anyway.
That's what we usually like to hear. That's what we like to hear is that it might slow things down, if the Kickstarter isn't funded, but it'll still happen. We always like to hear that. And those are the games that usually end up being the best out of the whole thing, is like, even if they don't get funded, they still happen. And it might take a little longer, but it's worthwhile in the end. So yeah, Kickstarter is a strange thing. It's like a huge marketing campaign that you have 30 days to or 60 days or however many long days. And it's almost a full-time job in and of itself.
Yes.
So I wish you guys the best of luck with it. Again, folks, the game is the Pegasus Expedition. It is currently on Kickstarter for 27 more days. And the pledge you have asked for is very modest. Like, when you see a lot of games, they're like $300,000. You're like, what? No. Come on. Give me a break. But you guys have only asked for a goal of 25,000, which again is a very realistic and modest goal. That does not, and you're already a fifth of the way there, which is great. That is, and with 27 days left, that's really great.
Yeah, we got some questions about the sum. That this sounds quite a small sum for this kind of game, but it again comes back to the point that, like, we are doing the game and this will help the game, but already small amount will help the game,
right?
But the game will go on.
Well, you guys touched on this, but in the Twitch chat, Kermat the Frog, that's a great name. That's a great name, buddy. Kermat the Frog asked, what's going to happen if you don't meet your Kickstarter goal? You touched on that, but I think he wants to hear a little more.
Well, the game's going to release. We might not have as much time to polish it, but the game's going to release, and we're going to do our best. And that's basically
it will release. Our plan is that it will release anyway on the first half of next year. It's why we may have a bit less muscle for the rest of the development, but we are doing it full time anyway, all the time. So we are releasing the game anyway. And also this Kickstarter, our goal in the Kickstarter is a small part of the whole budget of the game. So it's not reliant on that. But if we reach our goal, it will basically give us more muscle for the development to work with.
That's a good way to put it. Muscle. I like that. And congrats on working on this full time. Like, it's a lot of devs can't do that. So congrats on being able to work on this full time. but we do have to start wrapping up because I have to get to work.
Yeah.
So friends, the game again is called the Pegasus Expedition. It is currently kickstarting for another 27 days. You should definitely go check it out. They've got tiers where you can get the soundtrack. And what are some of these other ones? Your name in the game and the credits, art book. Oh, short stories. Oh, cool. I like that. You can get playing cards. Oh, that's neat. Patches, pins, all sorts of neat stuff. That's the kind of stuff I like seeing in tiers. Is like you got a bunch of digital stuff, then you get a bunch of physical stuff if you pay a little more. Well done. These are well thought out tiers. I like it. But
Thank you.
Especially the soundtrack. Like as soon as I saw a soundtrack, I'm like done because I love soundtracks. Well done. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join us today. Sorry about the technical issues. I have no idea why Discord is being such a goddamn nightmare today. And folks, I want to apologize for the technical issues we had today while the stream died because OBS crashed and we lost one of our guests for a little while. It's just not the best technical morning for us, but thankfully the audio recording of all this survived, even though the stream died. So at least the MP3 will be the complete, be fully complete. So keep an eye out for that on Thursday. And because we're doing a podcast today, if I have the energy, I should be streaming something this afternoon, probably around 4 p.m., maybe 3 or 4 p.m. Pacific time. So, gentlemen, again, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Again, guys and gals, the game is, I'm totally losing it. I'm becoming frayed. The game is the Pegasus Expedition. It is currently on Kickstarter. Be sure to check it out. There'll be links in the show notes of the YouTube video, if I could make a damn YouTube video out of this, and definitely on the blog post where you can get the MP3. But you can also just go to Kickstarter and look up the Pegasus Expedition. Definitely check it out. It's a really great campaign page. A lot of videos, bits of the soundtrack, lots of images. It's a really well done campaign. Go check it out and let them convince you to back it. Have a great day, everyone. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.